Peace and love, everybody. This is Young Nas from iGotOptions LLC, and in this video, I want to talk about 2 ETFs that you should keep on your watch list. All right, you should keep these ETFs on your radar. Now, I'm not saying you should trade them, but you should definitely study and research them. All right, because I think these ETFs are very relevant to the overall sentiment that the market is in right now. This also ties into what investors plan on doing with their money and how you could possibly profit off of that. All right, so with that being said, let me get into what these ETFs are. First ETF, the ticker symbol is TLT. TLT. All right, got that down? Cool. Now, this ETF tracks something called the 20-year Treasury bond. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what are bonds, right? What is a 20-year Treasury bond? Basically, a bond is a fancy word for a loan that you give out to different corporations. All right, so you're not receiving a loan, you're lending your money to different corporations. All right, so you can lend your money to Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. That's what a bond is. All right, you're just lending your money to a company or institution. Now, naturally, when it comes to borrowing money, you have a certain time period to pay them back. All right, and with that being said, the same thing applies to bonds. And so that's what makes bonds special. When you buy a bond or when you lend that money to whatever corporation you want, you receive interest payments on top of a payment that's paying off its debt. All right, now the prices of these bonds fluctuate. That's where TLT comes into play. It basically tracks the price of this bond, of this asset. Now, with that being said, this is important because whenever investors feel scared or they feel uncomfortable having their money in the stock market, guess what they'll do? They'll put their money into bonds. And if you do your research back in February or March, when the coronavirus started affecting the stock market and everything was tanking, take a look at TLT. It went crazy. It started shooting up crazily. All right, so with that being said, this is definitely an ETF that you should keep your eyes on. Now, the last ETF that I'm recommending that you watch out for is XLF. That's the ticker symbol, all right? XLF. You got that? Now, this ETF basically tracks the stocks that are a part of the financial sector of the S&P 500, if I'm not mistaken, all right? But this is basically what this ETF does. It tracks how those financial stocks move. Now, that being said, another word for financial stocks can be banks. The reason why this is important is because banks move a certain way depending on interest rates. Now, just stick with me, it's gonna make sense. When interest rates go down, banks don't really profit because banks make a lot of their money from lending their money to different people and they expect payments. Now, vice versa, when interest rates go up, banks profit. Now, just understanding that basic concept is important. Interest rates up, banks profit. Interest rates down, banks don't really profit. Now, when you understand that concept, that will explain the rationale as to why bank stocks tend to go up when there's talk about interest rates going up and why banks tend to go down when there's a lot of chatter about interest rates going down. It's literally that simple. And if you do research, you'll see that investors tend to trade this way. All right. That being said, I'm recommending these 2 ETFs because they tie into the sentiment that the market's currently in, I think. Because earlier today, we had Jerome Powell speak, and he was testifying and basically answering questions about interest rates, right? What are interest rates going to be looking like in the future? And he was basically saying, hey, we plan on raising interest rates a little sooner than we thought, which is good for banks in the long run, all right? Now, I'm not saying to put your money into these stocks. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying you should research them some more, all right? These are just some things that I have on my mind that I'm still researching, but I would like for you to research them too, all right? We all got to get this bag. All right, so with that being said, these are 2 ETFs that I recommend that you study and watch out for. All right, peace.